Good morning and happy Monday. I used to say I always love Mondays. So when I got up this morning, I reminded myself, love Mondays. Remember to be the person you say that you are on social media and on the stage and in real life. And so trying to love Mondays. So what I was thinking about this morning, I have a bunch of thoughts and this just helps me process and think. So thank you for those of you that aren't sick of me yet and are still tuning in and listening. I really appreciate it. But DMO stands for Daily Method of Operation. And it's something kind of that was reiterated often in Advocare when we were working on our business side of it and using the products ourselves. What is your daily method of operation? But for me, over the years, I like DMO because it creates stability and security, familiarity. Good morning, Shauna. Um, and I love Monday mornings because they always feel like a clean slate. But Monday's a very special day for me because it's my extra early morning. I mean, I'm usually up anyway, but more intentional early morning is that I start my Monday mornings with a 5 a.m. call to my son who is driving from Minneapolis to Duluth for work. And we get a chat for 2 hours and catch up on what's new in his life and in our life. And it's sacred time to me. I cherish those phone calls. 2 hours of uninterrupted conversation with your adult child is a rarity and it's blessed. Though the weather, as the rain and sleet and cold kicks into Minnesota, can be dangerous. So today we had to hang up twice because it got really heavy rain. And so we always put safety first, but we get to talk. And I love starting my day with prayer time. I have Jesus Calling pops up in an email and I have it as an app on my phone. And it just always feels like it's just the perfect message at the right time. And the home I was staying at had a devotional called Jesus Has It All. Good morning, Liz. Um, and I just was thinking when I start my day remembering God's in charge, it relieves a lot of stress for me, but it also just grounds me in my day and like the Lord's in charge and he's cares about me more sometimes, oftentimes than I care about myself. And he cares about the people that I love more than I can ever love them. And that gives me peace. So I start my day with that. And then I always take the dogs out for a walk. But this morning I'm super happy because I walked the dogs, I read my Jesus Calling, I got to talk to my son, and then I did a 45-minute workout with my favorite videos, which is Shelly, Schellea. I think she's from Australia, and she started in 2018 called Fabulous 50 for women over 50. Though I would beg to differ with her, she's amazing for any age and any sex because she's all about mental and physical body and how we talk to ourselves. And that's such an important part of my work and how I become who I am. And I always think I never wanted to be a girl, a woman that survived challenges. I wanted to thrive. And more than thrive, I wanted to come out of all the challenges that I faced joyfully and generously. And that is where I was, and that is where I'm getting back to. Um, but I was just thinking about that. Like, that's who I want to be. And it's been harder the last few weeks to get there. Yesterday morning, um, my husband and I got up and we walked to church to worship. There's a church um, in 4 or 5 blocks from Elizabeth and Stevens. And we walk there with a wagon, with our muddy wagon. And tomorrow I'm going to share a little bit about more about church and about what happened at that church over the last 4 weeks. And I realized it was my fourth Sunday um, that I had been at Elizabeth's because we got there on a Saturday night. And the first thing I did Sunday morning was go to worship. And yesterday, the pastor talked about where do you turn to when you're going through a struggle or a crisis? Do you turn to your friends? Do you turn to your family? Do you turn to your faith? Do you turn to food? Do you turn to alcohol? Do you turn to all of the above? Um, and I certainly turned to all of the above. But I remember when we got to Elizabeth and Stevens, I was so overwhelmed with emotion and gratitude and fear and so shook to the core. And the first thing I wanted to do was go to church. And so I got up on Sunday morning and Greg stayed with the dogs and I walked down the street and went to worship. And I remember just like the whole time I was there, just bawling, just crying, like crying praise and gratitude for being alive and able to worship, praying that in the midst of the storm, God is still good and that I never ask why me. I always think, why me? turn to? What do you rely on? What do you know to be true? And maybe for some of you, it is your faith. And maybe for some of you, it's your friends or your family or food or alcohol or exercise. Um, there's healthy and unhealthy ways to deal with stress. And one thing I've tried to tell myself in the last month is don't judge. If you need to sit and eat ice cream for breakfast, just do that. That's okay. Let's not judge you. You've been through a really challenging time. And good morning, Jeannie. And you've been through a really challenging time, and just give yourself grace. And so I'm grateful to have my faith. I'm grateful that my mother instilled faith in us, kind of a different faith than more about works and about Catholicism and have to, not want to, but the joy of faith. And that Prince of Peace and the Women in Mary circle showed me that church and giving and studying God's word is an invitation by God to grow closer in an intimate relationship. And that's been a huge blessing almost for 25 years now, since Alex was a boy, firstborn, and such a gift that they invited me to childcare and donuts and coffee. And that sounded good. And I had no idea how deep my faith would grow that had been planted as a young child and grow during that season. I wrote the word poor today because, kind of jokingly, but kind of seriously, Greg said to me before we moved to Florida, how do you feel about being poor? And I am by no means saying I'm poor, nor am I wealthy. But if you think I'm poor, that's okay. And if you think I'm wealthy, that's okay. We've made good money. I would say good money. He might not agree with me, but I would say good money. And we've been able to live a really nice life. But when we joked about moving to Florida, what we will be the poor ones, Greg kind of said. And I was like, what does that mean? And kind of joking, kind of serious. And he said, most people where we live are going to have 2 houses and 5 houses and maybe 10 houses. I met a guy last winter that told me he had 17 houses in the development we live in. And for us, in order to fulfill this dream and move from our big house to a 2-bedroom condo, it meant selling 95% of what we owned. It meant selling our house. It meant making some changes. And yes, all by choice. Trust me, I am not complaining. It's just, I was on that plane the other day, and this woman was saying, yeah, I'm just devastated. I had some damage to my home. And nothing bad about that woman. It is devastating no matter your status. And I said, is it your home? She said, oh, no, we have other homes, but it's one of our homes. And there's such a difference. There's just such a difference. And for those of us, the handful of us that this was our home, and not being able to go back to what somebody posted yesterday they love about their home is it's familiar. And I was like, that is such a good word. I feel like everything's unfamiliar. And I love where we've moved to. We've moved into a 3-bedroom condo in Fort Myers, about 20 to 25 minutes from our home on Fort Myers, where we'll go next Saturday. But my understanding is after we go this week, they only have appointments. And after that, they're shutting it down until they reopen it because it won't be safe to go back for anyone. So if people live there and they want to get things, you got to make an appointment and you got to go this week. I think we have the 26th to the 2nd or something are the dates we can go from like 9 to 4 or something. I don't know. Anyway, and you go and you park somewhere and they pick you up and you come in and you can carry out whatever you can carry out and you get it to where you're living now. And we have a place through the end of the year now, and we're super grateful for it. And it's a very comfortable place. It's a space. The dogs are already starting to relax, and it's very pretty. We haven't seen much of it. I think there's a couple pools and a couple restaurants in here. But it's still exhausting moving. That's what I was going to say is it's exhausting moving. And it's exhausting knowing you're going to be doing it again in a couple months, even though it'll be great to go back to our home. But it's stable. And today I'm going to try and get some work done. That's a big plan for me, and figure out how to regroup and focus on getting some bookings for next year and maybe even one for the rest of this year. And maybe getting mail. I'm going to go try and find mail at 2 different places. We've only gotten mail once in the last 4 weeks. So I'm hoping to find some mail today. I'm missing some packages that I need. So that is kind of my update. As we moved, we are safe. We feel safe. It feels much safer just being in our own space. We're spreading out a little. We're cuddling with the dogs. And yeah. So we're not poor in spirit and we're not poor, but there's something about being able to have multiple homes to go to. And our daughter invited us, and thank you, Megan, for that. but we really want to stay in Florida. I really am allergic to winter, even though I lived there for a lot of years. Um, but I'm going to keep doing these because they help remind me all that I have to be grateful for, and also be sincere and honest with you that it's a challenging time. And one thing I was thinking about last night is when I started these videos, I would say, I am safe, but I am not okay. I am safe, but I am not okay. And I want you to know that I feel closer to okay. I don't think I'm 100% back there. And I haven't had a full day that I haven't had tears come at least once, if not many times. But every day, just a little bit closer to being okay. And so I just want to say thank you all for your support, for your love. I hope your Monday is beautiful. And I would love in the comments, because I love when you guys respond with your own words. Where do you turn in the storms and the struggles of your life? What or who do you turn to in the storms and struggles of your life? And do you feel wealthy? Do you feel poor? Do you feel just okay? I'm okay. I'm getting closer to okay every day. And I'm so grateful to know that we're going to stay in this place at least through the end of the year. We know we'll need to start looking for a new place. We'll need to start looking for a new car. But today, I'm just going to look for mail. Today's goal is to get mail and to shoot some emails out and hopefully get some responses about speaking and continuing to move forward. So peace be with you. I hope you are coloring your Monday, your clean slate, with beauty and love and peace and encouragement for one another. God bless.